Told me I'm being recorded.
He's already fucked up, Chase. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Divine Brothers meeting with a very special episode today. I have certain memories in my head, certain images that are conjured up, certain stereotypes that haunt me throughout my life. And, when I think of the term terrifying neo-Nazi skinhead, I often imagine somebody who looks like the person we're going to be interviewing today, full of muscle, shaved head, an intimidating presence, the sound of Tool or some other dark, twisted group in the background. But the truth is, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. In fact, he gave me the tattoo that's on my leg right now, and honestly, he has the demeanor of a Southern Baptist youth minister, welcoming and being kind to all those who happen to enter into his tattoo shop. Chase's old friend, Mr. Erik Javor. Erik, welcome to the podcast, sir.
I kind of would have rather have just talked through the intro than been greeted, but thank you for all that.
Yeah, no problem. We started off because we were wondering, and I asked Chase this just before we started. Where did you meet Chase? And the only thing he said was that it was maybe this summer before high school. Do you have any memory of when you actually ran into him?
Yeah, there
What
was this
happened?
morning. There was this morning, and he crawled down on a crack in the earth, and he hissed at the sun. And then he crawled backwards, like his belly was facing the sky and his head was down and his arms were on the ground and so were his legs. So he's back crawling. And he crawled very quickly to school that day. And I saw him and I knew forever we'd be friends. It's true. Did
Chase, you recall
you
this?
pick?
Erik, I was trying to think. Yeah, maybe that. Maybe you moved.
Look
Or
at him. See him? He didn't have hair back then. It wasn't like that. It was hideous. It was horrifying.
oh my God.
It
Okay.
was extremely athletic too.
Demon coming out. Oh
Erik, we
man.
started hanging out right before high school, right? Wasn't that it though? Isn't that about the time period?
We met through Brad Good, was the honest truth. He was kind of like he was a creature in himself.
He was a
But
goody two shoes, man. That guy.
yes, I don't know. Somehow through there. So it would have been like maybe early high school, yeah, like freshman year, eighth grade, ninth grade.
So
Tyler Preston lived close to Chris Elrod, so we kind of came over there some.
I was super into football and I was working out all the time, and all those fuckers would like work out with me for a week and then quit. They just were lazy. Except Erik.
Yeah,
Eric would go every fucking day with me, man.
that's
Every day.
right.
Always went to the gym.
That's how you get good at stuff. You do it over and over and over until you're good at it.
Dude, do you remember that time in college, Erik, where we worked out together for like a year? We both got just jacked out of our minds.
Yeah, I got the
That was,
biggest of my life. I got to 220 and
I
I
was,
had
I
obliques. Listen to me,
only,
obliques. I had obliques at 220. It was huge. I called this one kid ice cream pants and he wanted to fight me until he got up the stairs and saw how big I was.
All these memories are coming back
Erik,
to me.
Erik was the greatest.
Were
Erik
you
was
guys there that night? Were
Erik,
you
wait,
guys,
wait,
do you
wait, wait,
remember
wait.
that night? We
Erik,
were
let me,
throwing potatoes at them. Huge, huge potatoes. It was Alabama Auburn night, and they were stuck in traffic. So we were throwing potatoes off our balcony at the Bama cars that were in traffic. We were throwing potatoes, and one guy came up to do something about it, and I was calling him ice cream pants. He didn't do nothing either, so I won. I kept calling him ice cream pants. He saw I would have thrown him off the balcony. I was huge.
Erik was a
All right,
great,
sorry.
Erik was a skinny kid growing up, and he got jacked in college, and he did enjoy pushing people around on occasion. And it was
Uh, I
fun.
like
It
I
was,
like lashing out. I like drinking a fifth of alcohol and just ruining the night for everybody. I would do it over and over. You guys hated it.
yes. It gets to that point as well. Yes.
I
Erik,
remember me and
hold
Erik
on.
were walking.
I'm sorry. I have to say it before the moment's gone. Chase, years and years ago, man, he told me the story, and I forgot it was about you. It just came back to me now. He said your computer broke, and you took it to some guy like over there in Auburn, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need the password to your computer. What is it?" And was ice cream pants.
Ice cream pants. That was my password for years. Yeah.
It was me too. I took the password. I used it for
That
years.
must have been where I got it. Yeah, from that night.
I'm glad I
I
could leave
realize
you
it
such an
now.
impression.
That
Look,
compute.
look,
Yeah.
what are you, 40 years old now and you're still laughing about it? That's great. It was worth it.
I'm sorry, Austin. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just remember walking into a party at Sean Sunday's house. We're walking around the back of the house, and they had let their pool become like very green, and there's frogs in it. And Eric was grabbing frogs and smashing them into the ground. It was horrific. It was terrible.
I forgot about that until now. I forgot that every day of my life until now. That's great. I remember it now vividly. like I was sober doing it and I wasn't. Oh man.
See, Eric,
I was swinging him so hard, dude. That would have been like a monumental force. Can you imagine if something like the size? Imagine the proportions and the difference of just my hand and the frog, let alone my whole body. And I was swinging it with my full strength. Oh man, that
Fuck,
was
I wasn't
great.
expecting to laugh this hard. Jesus.
I just
You
want to.
guys,
I want to let everybody know
oh
Eric
man.
is a functional tax-paying member of society.
It's the
Saying.
power
He's
of
like he
the-
does quite well for himself. Eric, he's been a tattoo
Yep.
artist now for what, like 20 years or something like that?
Uh, I do pay my taxes. I Donald Trump them, but I what does that mean? Um, uh, yeah, almost 20. Almost. I've done one metonic cycle. I've done one lunar node cycle, and I've almost done the 20-year cycle. You don't know what a metonic cycle is?
No.
You don't have Google before you?
Yeah, why don't you tell us what it is?
I told you this would happen.
What is metonic? What is that? What is
The
it?
the metonic cycle is a period of almost exactly 19 years in which the lunar phases reoccur at the same time. It's just an ancient cycle, guys. It's like one of the most important cycles there is. Why do you think like 18, 19, 20 years old, like 21, those are all really important numbers in every society, every way you look at it? Why do you think that is? Just because we make up things, or maybe because it's something deeper?
Actually, I
But
can
the
confirm.
19 year is just really important.
I can confirm because I live in China that China doesn't use the Western Gregorian calendar. They use the lunar calendar, and it's divided into 19-year chunks. So
You want to know something really cool too? Take
go ahead.
19 and multiply it by 19. You get 361. What is that? It's a cycle or a circle, ain't it? That's the closest square. That's the square of the circle. Basically, on Earth, all you can use is squares to get cycles. So 19 times 19 is the closest thing to the circle of 360 as you can get.
Now,
It's an
Eric, what
important number.
precisely is well, what exactly is your history of drug use?
What does that have to do with anything? This is mathematics. What is a
I'm-
square? Do you know
I'm
what a
just-
square is?
I'm just asking.
Well, no, seriously. Do you know what a square is?
Let's see, a square. That's the one with four sides, correct?
Two times two would be 4.
Uh-huh.
8 times 8 is 64.
Uh-huh.
You don't understand this principle.
Yeah, that's multiplication. I think I know that
Yes,
one.
this is just regular mathematics. So
Uh-huh.
19 times 19, a circle is 360 degrees. That's our year. Our solar year is 360 days, or in ancient times it was. It's 365, more accurate now. But the circle, it's still going 360 degrees. If you divide a circle, you get 360, right? So 19 times 19, 19 times is 361. It's the closest or most accurate way you can represent with squares a circle. That's all I'm saying.
So what,
But that's important.
Eric,
But
if you
it's
know
only impo-
if you know the
Go on.
numbers, what can you? I mean, are you able to predict outcomes? Is this what you're saying? If you know the patterns, you know which patterns about
I'm
to
not
come.
saying anything. I'm just saying it's important.
Well, why is it important?
But Well, is a year important to you? Do you celebrate your birthday?
Not usually, no, unfortunately.
So
It's
it's
kind
not
of
important to you, but you acknowledge that it could be important to you. So therefore, you're just doing the opposite, which would be important because that proves the circle's important, right? Are you following me?
Okay.
Because that's half of the circle. I just, the opposites, 180, the law of duality. That's how two works.
Right.
Eric,
You
Erica,
get it?
I feel like we're in
I
the
mean,
weeds, I think we're hyper fixating. What's the context, right? Like, give me the grand narrative, and then we can go down
well,
and
I
higher
don't know. I don't
resolution.
know where we started with this.
Why are
I
we
was just
talking
saying
about
19 was
numbers?
I was just saying 19 was important because you brought up how long I'd been tattooing and I was like it's a metonic cycle and you guys acted like that was a weird thing or a drug thing or something, but this is like throughout ancient antiquity a really important thing
Eric,
all the way back to the Bible.
he was just fucking with you, and I had no idea what monotonic? Is that what he said?
Metonic,
Hey,
Metonic.
Eric, have you heard of monotonic? Have you ever heard of monotonic gold? What does that mean?
I don't know.
See, I don't know. Yeah.
Gold's important. It's worth a lot.
Jesus, man.
Eric, at some point you went from being a partier, someone that hung out with bikers and every manner of people, to being a complete hermit who just sits at his house and reads these books all day. What caused this transition, dude? Did you have some type of spiritual awakening, or?
Well, first of all, I gotta say, like, you guys keep putting these like underlying narratives before the question. And I don't like it. I don't just sit at home all day. I work. I run a business. I tattoo heathens. I deal with all sorts of insane cycles day after day. I predict stuff every single day. You're not there to see it, but it's cycles that reoccur. I'm sure in your business it's the same where cycles reoccur. You guys probably deal with the same like human interactions, like, oh, this guy, he's going to do this. You didn't even know the guy, but you knew what he was going to do. It just reoccurred. And I don't know, I deal with that every day. Then I come home and I wake up at like 4 to 5 a.m. I study. Then I go do all that. And then I come home and then I do that again. So I'm a hermit, but only to further, my endeavors.
What do you study?
Well, how to forecast, specifically markets and cycles, but those particularly run through lots of things, considering like most of the world's money is in the New York Stock Exchange and other things,
So
like real
basically,
estate
pattern
cycles.
recognition.
Like if you guys know real estate, all right, that runs a 19-year cycle. That literally runs a 19-year cycle. That's common knowledge in the, I don't know, financial world.
Are you suggesting that there's continuity that exists in cycles, that these cycles exist in every different
I
part of life?
will, yes, I will quote Ecclesiastes 1 through or Ecclesiastes 1 through 9. Let me actually quote it correctly since we're
Vanity, that's the
under the
vanities,
thing.
vanities. Everything is vanities, right? Or
Ecclesiastes 1 through, hold on.
getting quotes, getting biblical, Chase. I wasn't expecting that.
Fucking
That's
biblical
where all
quick.
these come from.
Hmm.
The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done, that which shall be done, and that there is no new thing under the sun. All right, and hold on. Now listen. Remember, we brought up 19. Now I don't believe in coincidences. I didn't bring that up randomly. What did I say? Ecclesiastes 1 through 9. 1, 9. Smush them together. 19, the square of the sun. Why would something that mentions the sun be talking about something how it reoccurs? Because the year reoccurs, it's the circle, it's the same shit. You can think that's as out there as you want, but I've studied way more and probably read more books than all of you combined, and all of them that do all this stuff have underlying things going on with them. Ancient books are coded. They are, period. It's fact. You can think that's crazy. I don't care. Letters are numbers. There's people that put time and effort and wrote prolifically that did such. Look at you. You think it's crazy, Chase? I'm looking at you.
Well, I'm thinking,
What do
what
you
was
think? Why do
what
you?
was the original question? What was asked of you? What did you ask? Yes.
I don't know, but I proved everything and I brought it around so we could start a new subject now. Look
All
at the
right,
19. It foreshadowed how it came back around to a biblical verse. What more? I mean, that's what more do you need?
Eric,
Do you see that? Do you acknowledge that?
what acknowledge what?
Respond.
Which part?
The 19.
The
How
Yeah,
19th.
Chase,
amazing that
19.
was. I used
19,
the
Chase.
biblical verse when we brought up
Eric,
that,
this
with
is what Eric, this is
probably within 19 seconds of it.
Eric, okay, listen for 19 seconds here. You are diving so deep that it's just like I'm keeping up and then I'm getting lost. And you keep going and going. It's like ease us into this, man. Like baby
Okay.
steps. Baby steps.
Ah, you fucking babies. All right.
Yes, think of
Hmm.
us as small children. Yes.
All right. I like that. I kind of want to punish you. Chase, go stand in the corner.
Eric, I think he asked you where was the transformation? Because there was at
All
one
right,
point
I'm sorry.
you were
Okay.
partying and then all of a sudden you were encapsulated in something that really fascinated you. Like when did that start? Like how did that
Well, what
start?
is where is your guys' perspective? We got to have a timeline because I can't really remember, man. You got to remember, there's 19 years of tattooing in between this.
Austin would have the best. He was probably around, right? Austin.
No, no, I lost track of Eric for a while.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, we
know that
lost track of you. You died, then you
Yeah,
resurrected.
I did.
you got listen to those
Are you
episodes.
even the same? Are you a clone? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk. I'm being quiet.
No, no, no. What I was gonna say is, in terms of Eric Javor memories, there's what the big shift in my mind is. There's like a skinny, shaved head kid wandering through the Mexican house, like in the background, and he has a darkness to him, you know. And then suddenly, just it was totally random in my mind. You became huge, like gigantic. Like I was like, oh my God, I did not know somebody this fucking big so quickly. So that's the only shift I can mark in my mind right there. I have no idea. Oh, and also, yeah, so you and Chase went to Auburn, and so I'm like a wee little teenager and stuff, and Chase takes it upon himself to introduce me to marijuana. And he says, listen, here's what you do. We're going to go hang out with Eric, and we're going to watch TV and we're just going to keep watching until something makes us laugh. And these two college educated individuals eventually flipped channels to SpongeBob SquarePants and laughed harder than I have ever seen two individuals laugh in my life. It was horrifying to watch. I could not believe that this was happening in
I
real
say
life.
Eric lived with a buddy of ours, Greg, and I go over there and watching TV, the three of us, the commentary, whatever we were watching was fantastic. Other people would come over and sit with us and get high sometimes, and they would want to come back. And we'd have to say, like, no, you can't. Sorry, it was like a one-time show, man.
You remember the one that said he was a werewolf? Ben, I think, or Brett.
What?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah,
Remember?
vaguely.
He said he
Yeah.
was,
Yeah,
yeah, you remember him?
yeah, he was a
We
fucking
didn't let
weirdo.
him. He wasn't cool enough to be with us.
He
Anyways,
got rid
Wait,
of the werewolf.
was he a real werewolf?
no, we didn't believe him.
There's a medical condition where people believe that they're animals. Uh,
Yeah, it's called gay.
oh, he was a furry.
Oh man, I'm just, the 90s definition. I'm sorry I had to.
Yes. I see why Eric had to be locked away. He had to go into the hermit
Yeah.
status, man. I don't think society's ready for you, Eric, man. Like, I can't see you posting on Facebook for very long.
No, I deleted it. I got rid of it. I didn't like anything people were saying, and all my responses, they wouldn't have been right.
I can't imagine his responses. I can't imagine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We were figuring out a timeline.
I
I'm sorry.
I I left
What's your timeline?
I left college and I hadn't talked to Eric for a while, and I stayed in touch with our buddy Chris. And then one day he was like, "Yeah, man, Eric don't come out much." And he's like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "He's into numbers or something, man." And I was like, "What?" And I just checked in on Eric occasionally. I haven't seen him that much, but that was nothing bad or good, right? He's just like Eric's locked away reading books all day. And that's all the information anybody had. It wasn't good, wasn't bad. It's just like he has isolated the study. And it's like, okay. All right. And that's kind of all I know. That's it. Yeah. So
Pretty accurate. So I don't know, what are we
Eric,
talking about?
tell
I
us
don't know
how
what to
you
say.
got into whatever you were into. Like what was the catalyst? What made the shift to dedicate your almost in your entire time to work and studying?
Because remember our theme. Remember how you guys were like, well, let's go with Dean's. He brought up how I got really big, really fast, bigger
Okay.
and faster than you could ever imagine, right?
Okay.
How did I do that? Let's go back to how you said Erik was the only one that would work out with me more than all the other people would work out with me, right? So there's a timeline where you can just fill in the gap where you're like, Erik was probably working out. So I just worked out and I worked out and I worked out and I worked out and I figured it out and I kept working out and it got to the point where I was like, the only other working out I can do to get even bigger is, do roids. So I did a bunch. I got as awesome as you could on that. I got as big as you could on the superhuman juice and I maxed out on that. I did that and I did that and I did that. And I mean, that will overlap into like other times. So I'll probably just stop because I already made my point of like, you just do stuff until, I don't know, you master it, right? So I
Yeah.
decided, uh, well, I got really big and then I got tired of getting big. But before I got tired of getting big and taking time off from that, I had tattooed. I got good at tattooing. I did the same thing. I just tattooed and tattooed and tattooed. I even did 19 tattoos in a day. That was my record. That's the most tattoos I ever did. That's not me just bringing up numbers. I'm just doing that because, might as well. But I really did 19. I never got 20 tattoos in a day. But point being is I don't want to do 19 tattoos or tattoo 6 days a week or tattooing is a lifestyle. You gotta do it constantly. Well, I decided, okay, I'll do it. I love it. Maybe I'll never stop doing it, but I don't want to do it as a means to survive. Been doing it for a long time. It's old. Kind of makes you not like it. So I decided I need to be able to do something. I don't know. What do I do? How do you make a lot of money? Well, people were getting into crypto. I was like, I can buy crypto. Well, I got scammed in one thing. I figured out how to buy at the top of Bitcoin when it went up to like almost 20K the first time in 2017. So I lost money. Then I realized, okay, there's more to this. You just can't buy something because you can lose money. Even if it goes up, you got to time it, figuring out timing. Then I kind of just started studying from there, which led me into why I say I like to forecast things because you can. Everything cycles. If you understand simple mathematics and simple things, you can do really, I don't know, the past is a reflection of the future. You understand the movement in a circle, and a circle is everything. Circle is the all. It's just divisions of the circle. You have to have a division, two of something, therefore opposites, which is two of a circle is 180 degrees. You just divides down from there, as crazy as that sounds.
So have you always had this hyper focus, meaning like you get obsessed with shit and you master it 100%, and
Yeah,
staying still isn't
it's
really an option?
called yeah, yeah. Well, we'll go on, finish your question. I'm sorry, I thought I knew your question before I let you finish. Ask it
No,
again.
I was just saying that it sounds like you've got almost like this extreme ADHD where you're moving from thing to thing, and it's an obsession where mastery is the only outcome that's acceptable. You go deep, harder than most people can imagine.
Well, that's because most people don't succeed or do anything, I guess. Or like if you put it like
Good
that,
counter.
yeah. I mean,
Good counter.
this is just how you do stuff. If you want to succeed, you do it until you succeed. You got to make all Thomas Edison in the damn light bulb. You gotta sit there and fail every single way, but those failures are you learning. The good book teaches, look, this is what Christians in modern day don't get that the Bible says is it's law. You reap what you sow. So how do you get wisdom? When you ask for wisdom, God gives it by your sufferings or your failures. That's what
Mhm.
it says. That's the teaching. That's
Sure.
so how do you do that? You keep suffering until you prevail, until it's God's will.
Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials of many kinds, for the
That's
testing of
right.
your faith will develop perseverance. So, are you capable of sitting still? Meaning, are you able to relax, sit back, and turn off the work ethic, Or is it something that's
Mm,
always on all the time?
Uh, I believe in I'll show my diet structure. Um, because it's important. So every day I usually wake up, I intermittent fast. Kinda. It's not, if you technically read what intermittent fasting is, you're gonna be like, no, Eric, that's not right. But this is what works for me. I wake up, I have basically like a blueberry nutritional shake. It's blueberries and like some whey protein and some maca powder and some coconut oil, and maybe that's it, or maybe there's like one other thing. I don't know, whatever, a nutritional shake, right? That's all I have. I go to work. Well, I work out, I study, I go to work, I come home, and then I eat my meal for the day. And that's the day structure every day except for one day a week or 1 day a week where I fast. I don't eat it all for 24 hours. That's on my Thursday. And that's basically, I just do that every single week. And so I have a break, right? You see that little small break? I do the same thing. I have that small break from whatever I do. I structure it to where I go, 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 go. But at some point, there's a small break.
So
They
what do you
all
do?
overlap.
What do you do on your break?
I don't know. I mean, they all overlap. So I'm doing probably something else that's in my life.
Is it a state of relaxation in the break?
Yeah, I get relaxation from all, like, minus tattooing used to give me relaxation, but I'm kind of tired of it now. So there's relaxation, and like, so you guys say it's, I don't know, like working out. Back when we used to work out, didn't we have fun? Did it feel like we were obsessing?
I wouldn't put
Maybe
obsessing to it because it was fun. It was,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, you just answered my question. That's literally what I just said. You answered it back using the same words. Perfect. Um,
You're
See,
welcome.
so I would say the same thing. I would say the same. It's like what I want to do. I'm like, it's going to get me goals. It's going to get me what I need to achieve in life. So I'll put in the time
So what?
as efficiently as.
So as a man, I see this a lot with very I call them achievement oriented people. They're always geared towards something
Uh-huh.
like hard, like you, like, all right, we're fucking going one direction, we're going all out. But
That's how you get it.
well, once you get there, there has to be another direction. There isn't an endpoint. There is always something else to attain. Is there an endpoint for you, or is there always something else to attain?
Uh, hmm. I mean, I guess it depends. Maybe an endpoint could be homeostasis at that level. Saying that, yes.
So you think
Maybe
it's
there's
What's
not
possible?
just,
homeostasis?
maybe I'm not building
Homeostasis.
the Tower of Babylon per se. I'm not trying to build it to heaven and touch there. I just want to get at a certain level to where I'm looking down at all the peons and I'm comfy and I don't have to do anything.
So you
What's wrong
think
with that?
no, no. So you're saying that at some point, if you reach a certain point, your existence, you'll shift everything to just chill mode. Everything.
Yeah, once you get a certain amount of comfy, hell yeah, that's the goal. That's
Okay,
the whole point. If
I,
you sit around and twiddle your thumbs, then you got to be a homeless person doing
Eric,
that, and that sucks.
Eric,
The
do you
level
know?
of comfort is declined drastically, and you got to protect your butthole and your sides from getting shanked and stabbed.
Jesus. All right, Eric,
And
Eric. Listen, Dean was making a point on relaxation. I was making a point on achievement-oriented people struggle to get to points of relaxation. You're saying that's not you. You're saying I'm going to go all out when I get to where I want to go. I can shift everything into a relaxed state and just chill.
yeah, and die old and comfy. The whole point of life. You're supposed to like learn and go through all your sufferings, and then you can be wise and think about it and figure it out and write a fucking book or something. You know, when it's comfortable to sit because you're old and everything hurts because
And
you're working hard
Eric,
when
and
you're supposed to be working hard
Eric,
instead of working hard when you're old.
when's the most comfortable you've ever felt in your life?
Uh,
When you're hanging
I
out with
don't
me,
know.
that's your answer. Jesus Christ.
Probably eating like 30 fish sticks,
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you make tens of
watching
millions,
watching Mikey lick between your toes and thinking in disgust how gross it was. You
it felt
remember that?
it felt
You
great.
remember?
That dog liked to
Man.
lick him. Let him lick him, man. It's fine
It
with
was
me.
absolutely disgusting. Gross. I can still envision it.
He
I
would
still
say it was
picture it.
disgusting, but he
It's like
couldn't
I'm
take his
there right
eyes off
now.
of it. He was fixated on the scene. He just kept looking, saying, "Oh, it's
Yeah, it's
disgusting."
the same as watching like something like Dr. Pimple Popper. It's gross.
No, no. I love watching that shit. Dude, I love it.
Eric, why were you always hanging out at the Mexican house, man? Like
Because
I always
I
remember that
loved you
you were
guys.
always
You guys were my family. I loved you guys. It was my comfort zone, as Chase said. It was my safe place.
Chase, did you ever go
I
over
wasn't
to
gonna
Eric's
be
house?
upset, except for maybe by Austin Duncan or something.
Let
But
me tell you this, man. That kid was over there so much. You know, Hey, I have no problem with him being over there, but when you stay somewhere so much where you think of it, he thought of that place as his home, and he thought of that place as being like there are no rules here. I remember one day
I'm sure he did.
somebody bought Wendy's. Like, all right, you got 8 boys in the house. She just bought a whole bunch of Wendy's, and somebody put lettuce on his Wendy's cheeseburger, and he was so upset that he threw it against the wall. In the, can you imagine throwing a burger against a wall in somebody else's house? And I was like, dude, what are you doing? You don't live here. He just it was like a natural response. He threw it against the wall. And the stain was there for like weeks. Nobody cleaned it up.
It's just like those frogs.
Yeah, it's like a frog. He's throwing burgers against the wall, frogs on the ground. This kid had
Look,
issues.
I'm sorry, but your analysis, that was the first time I completely 100% agree with that analysis of me. That was perfect. I definitely felt like I owned the place. It was mine. I lived there.
Yeah, he is
You
over
guys
there
never
every
said
week.
nothing. You never told me I didn't.
Well, I'd been to Eric's. There's another
Like
story. There's Eric. You can
like
confirm the story.
even Vic allowed it somehow, some way. It was like, okay, I was just allowed. It's what I needed. I thank you forever for it.
Vic comes up. That's my dad, and he's like, "Why is Eric always over here? Is something wrong with him?" I was like, "Something, yeah, probably." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he was fine with it. He was cool with it.
It's what I needed. You could say it was some sort of like
Eric,
divinity, some divine intervention. I
Eric,
needed it.
Eric's house was weird. It was like a 3-story weird duplex. It's not comfortable. Do you remember that blanket that you had at your house that you would give to your brother's friends when they spent the night?
If I wait, what I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like something made up.
I remember Chase telling me this. Yeah, Chase, tell us about this blanket that he would give.
I don't know what you guys are speaking of.
I can assume it was covered in semen, if I'm correct here.
I believe it was Chase's.
No, man. There was
Disgusting.
I stayed at Eric's
Disgusting.
one night. He was giving me a blanket and a pillow for the floor, and I was gonna get a blanket. He's, don't use that one. And I was like, what? So apparently, like you rolled it up, and like when you're a teenager, you roll it up and you fuck something. He said that's what it was for, and then when his brother's friends stayed over, that's the blanket that he gave him.
Actually, I'd heard about that. I heard it was actually a
There's
a
historical
jacket.
sources confirming this. Oh God.
I heard it was
Go
a
ahead.
jacket that was like
Oh, maybe it was a
frizzy,
jacket. Maybe it was a
frizzy
jacket.
jacket. I think it could have been both. I mean,
I don't know the authenticity of this, but it's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe Chase would think of such a thing.
Yeah, right. I just made that up.
Look
Sorry.
at him. He liked it. It's like, ugh.
Totally forgot about it.
How could you think of such a thing?
Eric, your house was really uncomfortable though, man. I didn't like those. There's, the house, the real small with the stairs and the stairs and the stairs. It was just,
It's what it did.
yeah, I could understand why you never wanted to be there.
It really wasn't that made me not want to be there, but still, since you get the same feeling, that's fine. We can relate.
The other thing I remember about hanging out with Eric is he made me fall in love with SUVs. SUV is fantastic, and he had this system, and he always had music that I had never heard of before. Could be a little bit of everything, and he was always on top of shit with like music, but like good music that was out of the mainstream. Right, Eric?
I would agree,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. It,
I liked it.
yeah. I think you've probably gone deaf a little bit because of it, yeah? Because you've gotten so you hit music like you do in other areas of life. You just dive deep until you find the best stuff you can, yeah?
Um, maybe. I don't know if I would call it. I don't think I went quite as hard. I couldn't say like, do you know what an octave is since we like numbers and you want to see the importance? Let's just do this. This will be fun. What's an octave? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is the same thing as 1. It's just double. It's like it's an octave if you cut a string in half. No, losing too deep. No, pointless. I won't go down the rabbit hole.
I think
maybe.
we followed you that far.
Oh,
Can
did
you?
you? Well, I'm just judging off of Chase's face because that's what I was looking at. Now I'm looking at yours. All right. Anyways, speak, Lord, Planet.
Eric was the guy that knew every time every time we hung out, there was a new group you were letting me listen to. I remember this. It's like sometimes we cruised with Eric, it was one CD, then it was somebody else with something different. Like I was cruising with Eric a lot. It was always different type of music. So I remember that about you. I like you exposed me to some cool fucking music that I still listen to today, dude. So it's like
Yeah,
a
me
music
too.
connoisseur. You always had something new, man. Yeah.
All I do is listen to music every day still. I'm kind of tired of it, but I still listen to good music every day.
Do you pick the music at your shop?
Yeah, it's called genre whiplash. It's just it's anything that I've ever clicked a heart on. It's like, I don't know, it's like 3,000 something songs probably.
Would
Maybe
you
it's more than that. Maybe it's
would
3,000 hours of music. I don't know. It's
would
something
would you ever let an employee take over that role?
huge. I mean, right now they both kind of listen to the same thing, so it's fine. But probably not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I do recall like Chase had this. He started sharing music with me, which I think by proxy may have been from you.
Yep.
But there was this idea of cruising while high. Music that was perfect for cruising around town while high. And
Yeah,
Chase used to
that's
take me
good.
around.
That's good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
used
it
to
is.
take me around in the green Taurus, and he would
That's
play
right.
songs like these super old songs, but like Passenger by Deftones,
Deftones,
I was thinking of that
Elite.
Digital Bath, man. Digital Bath by
Digital
Deftones.
When you're
Bath was
ripe,
another.
you'll bleed out of control. You remember that? When you're ripe, you'll bleed out of control.
I forgot about Elite, man. Yeah, I remember
Dude,
Elite.
that was the UFC song. If we were going to be UFC fighters, we were going to
Oh
come
my
out to that
God,
song. You remember? That was still
dude!
it to this day,
Let me tell
dude.
you,
It would
that
still have the
song,
same effect.
that song, Elite, like that song, I played it for people. It went so hard. Like when I'd come back to Texas and be like, I found this music, man. I'd play it for people, and they'd look at me like there was something wrong with me. It went
Dude, I
too
always, same. People are always like, you're weird. And I'm like,
hard.
whatever. You suck. Like,
I re Speaking of which, I remember one song. This is another one I brought back to my little Southern Baptist Christian school. Chase, you remember that one? And it was just somebody saying like "suck, suck, suck, suck" over and over
I
and
think
over.
that's Deftones, man. That's Deftones.
yeah, it
Was
is.
it Deftones also?
Seven.
Man,
Deftones
seven
7.
word.
Wait,
Uh-huh.
before I
Yeah.
forget, there was a time where I was cruising with Eric, and he introduced me to Marilyn Manson. And Marilyn Manson has this one
Great one.
album called the Age of Golden Age of Grotesque or something like that. Every fucking song on that album was good. And I can't remember when it was later on in my professional life. Somebody in the psychology meeting was like, "Oh, and he's listening to Manson," huh? And I was like, "Actually, have you ever heard Marilyn Manson's Golden Age of Grotesque? It's like it's fantastic. Every song on it's good." And they looked at me like and just terrified because I was a therapist at the time. And I was like, this kid's it depended on the song, but it was pretty fucking good. Manson's got some good shit, man. He's got some real good shit. Use your fist and not your mouth. That's fantastic lines right there, right? Remember that song, Eric? Good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I think he's greatly misunderstood, just like everybody everywhere is misunderstood because all they do is get online and get all their information from unfactual sources. It is just a hodgepodge of shit. It's a
Eric,
bunch
what
of illiterate opinions that are all mingling in echo chambers and they find each other and then they get a louder voice and it's actually commanding something, but it's still a stupid, dumb voice of muck, It's just all crap.
Dude,
It's
Eric,
all
I
singing
am,
filth of the world.
if indeed
Tyler
that
Durden.
if indeed that's what I was thinking, man.
Yeah.
If indeed you are like, if the hermit narrative is true, man, that's I'm sad to hear that because your ability to put an Alex Jones like rant together is it's just exquisite. It's exquisite, man. Like
But
you've
see,
got the
thank you,
gift.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
that is
I
a
see you
compliment.
guys.
That's a compliment.
Well, you
Absolutely.
guys, my coworkers get it. They get it at work every day. It's just the public doesn't get it, but it's
Maybe the
going
public
on
needs
every
it,
single
man.
day. I
I
observe
feel
things
like
and I like to speak about them.
I don't know. I feel like you're representing something that's lurking in the undergrowth of America. Like
I don't know. I
don't
don't know what
know.
that means.
I don't know either, but I like nodding my head to it and saying more, more. I want more. It's just it's exquisite, man.
It's
It's
like
really good.
the
Chase, I see why you were friends with this guy.
it's like the
I like your
villain.
dog.
Yeah, he's hanging
That's
I
out
what's
like his
staring
little
at you.
face. Look at his
yeah.
face.
It's very
I
cute.
like him.
He's participating.
He's got, yeah, look at him.
He's a good boy. Go ahead, Chase.
So high. Eric's kind of like the villain in a fucking movie, and they go on like they start talking, and then you're like, actually, it's kind of making a lot of sense.
I know, right? Yeah, like I'm kind of the numbers I get lost, but the other shit I start nodding my head saying, yeah, yeah, I feel it too. You
Wait,
know?
so Eric, it sounds like you're kind of sick of humanity and people in general, which I can't blame you. I have to talk to all different types of humanity every week to get paid. What do you hang out with anybody consistently, or are you just content with your own kind of presence?
Um, like outside of my
Like
work.
we do this once a week. Do you do anything consistently with anybody else once a week besides work?
No.
Yeah, I figured. That's okay. You're okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm obtaining my goals. I told you I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 40.
All
I
right. So
got like
so
5 months to go.
so listen. So you're gonna attain this state, and then you're gonna move into relaxation mode. Are you gonna change locations? Because if you say no, I'm gonna be
Yes.
very disappointed. All right. Where are you planning to go?
Yes.
Where are you gonna go?
You'll be jealous.
I
I thought he was gonna say yes, Chase. You're gonna come with me. No, he says
He's doing all this just to make me jealous, which I wouldn't put past him. And I'd be very proud of him if he did that too. But that's what I would do. Good boy. Yeah.
A whole
But
life.
where are you going, man? Where do you plan to go? What's the end
I,
location?
I don't know yet. You don't speak about something before I don't
Oh,
know.
you don't even let your mind go there. Really?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm just not, I don't know.
What? So
I
you
don't know
don't.
what to tell you. You can think whatever you want, but I don't have an answer.
Well, you act like you're going to get to this end goal, and then once you get to the end goal, you're going to be content. And I'm just, I want. It doesn't involve a
Well,
location. You
I'll
could be
figure
con
out. I mean, okay, let me put it like this. There's been things that you're really into, whatever you're into, whatever your goals are. Sometimes you get a new goal at some point, right? Maybe you achieve it, maybe you don't, whatever. Let's say you do achieve it. Then you find a new goal, but you weren't thinking of that one goal at the time of your other goal, were you? One
no.
goal at a time, one major goal at a time. Like I'm on
Uh,
I-565, and when
Eric.
I get to the next road, I'll take a, right, and maybe I'll get on the side road. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
really.
So
Maybe I need gas.
your end goal is truly as simple as I'm going to be a millionaire at 40. That's it. That's as far as it goes.
Well, that's an overall statement. I wouldn't even call that the true statement. I was just saying that right then because it's true, but that's part of the goal where I'm at now. The goal was learn how to, well, how can I do that? Well, I figured I could do it with trading. Anybody can trade. I buy an asset. I can buy a stock or I can buy an option or there's a million different things. I decided it was going to be options trading after I got into it. And then when I figured out it was going to be options trading, I had to figure out what type of option. And it's been 7 years. So, somewhere, whatever you want to call a 7 year cycle of figuring out how to do it. Now I know that it's going to manifest because I've done it. I just haven't quite, done it. I figured it out. I just haven't put let's say you were building a car over 7 years to win a race. You built the car. Now you got to drive the car to win the race. Right? Does that make
Chase
sense?
lives Chase
You
lives in a
following me?
land of Chase lives in a land of perpetual fantasy. Like
He never does the work. He just sits there and thinks he can wish it to life. He probably sticks his thumb up his ass and it feels real good every day, but he never gets anywhere. I see. I see.
I've never heard such an
Dean, did
accurate
he sum up what you were
evaluation.
trying to say? Is that it?
He said it perfectly. I got nothing to add.
I'm glad I got it right. I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of doing that. I guess it works across. It works across the world.
Eric, your answers are so expansive. I was just trying to understand. All right, you have a goal. All I know is it's to be a millionaire at 40. Like some people are like, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be living this, and I'm gonna, be in this part of the world. Nothing like that. It's just like I'm gonna make this much money. I figured out I'm gonna crack it and we'll see what's next.
No, yeah, because I understand that like for something I'm not interested in the earthly materialistic at the moment because that's what comes once you earn it. I haven't earned it yet. I got to do the work to get to where I can care about that type of shit. Who
Okay.
cares? A million
Okay.
dollar house is a million dollar house, right? A $250 million house is a $250 million house. You can figure all that out later. It's just like you got to get to which one are we talking about, like all of that. If I can live on a beach, that'd be awesome. If I can live on a river, that'd be awesome. Maybe I want to live at the top of a mountain and look down. Who knows? You know what I mean? What's going to be the option? Who cares? Got to get to the goal first.
Okay. Okay.
Once when it like so with options trading or what I can choose to do, like at a certain amount, like it's I don't know, you don't have to do much. You got a certain amount of money and it makes you so much money with each time of compiling it, it's not gonna be a concern anymore. I could just paint, I can write a book. I'm gonna write a book about all my experiences over the 19, 20 years of tattooing. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, who knows? But I'll worry about those things later. They're just on the farther to-do list. Maybe I
Does
do
anyone
nothing.
else,
Maybe I start fishing. Maybe I shark fish. Want to go
Eric? I
shark
have to be
fishing?
honest, man.
Spearfishing, man.
Huh.
Spearfishing.
You're fishing. I've never heard anyone like you. What I mean is, like, have you found fellowship with another human being where they're on the same wavelength as you?
No,
Their
I
mind is at
always
where
feel
you're
like
going.
everybody does what you guys are doing and you discount, but if you would take long enough to talk to me, I could make you understand it. And then you would be like, oh wow, there's wisdom in what he's talking about. It's not
So
so crazy. It only
not even your
sounds crazy
partner,
at go on. I'm sorry.
not even your partner, like your girlfriend. They're not on the same wavelength. You're just kind of in your own world, that
Uh
sort of thing.
she's the only person that full-heartedly supports me.
Supports, but does she understand?
Uh, yes, but no. More
Okay.
so just because from like, like osmosis, if you're like around something, you can understand automatically.
The only one
But
that
like,
truly understands is me. That's it. You guys need to get on the same page with Eric.
no, you don't understand. You just think I'm crazy and it's drugs.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
say that. That was Dean. That wasn't.
Chase, the expression he said was "thumb up your ass," and I think that that's a pretty good description of
First
you
off,
right now.
first off,
Dude, he was talking about that one of the last times I saw him, and I was like, wow, this is what he's gotten into. He's got nothing going for him in life. If he's worried about the pleasures of what his butthole can fucking do for him.
Eric, we got to get you back in the
I
flow.
just made that up, but it's true.
So this is the thing with Eric. I can talk to Eric out of the blue for 10 years, but Eric now jumps in to this stuff so quick when you got to ease him, man. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not that I
yeah,
think
I
you're
know. I'm bad
crazy.
about it.
I don't think you're
You're
crazy.
right.
You just lose me very fast. And you're like,
You're
I'm
right.
smart, but I'm not that. I haven't read these fucking books. I don't know these
You're
terms that
right.
you're throwing
I
at me.
forget. You're right. I forget.
Okay, all
I
right.
forget.
I like you. You're very redirectable. Thank you.
There's a term for that, but I think it happens to anyone that specializes in a field of knowledge. Like if you become immersed in a subject for 10 years, you generally forget that other people haven't taken the first step in the direction that you're 10 miles into. So I think that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And if you like, because me, for example, I like not to say I'm like advanced in any regard, but I was reading things and I was going into places like Discord and I was having really long conversations with people, and it taught me how to assume that people are starting at the ground level, and it taught me how to start there and build my way up, and it made me a much better communicator than I was before that because I put myself in those situations. I don't have Are you often in a position where people are asking you to explain yourself, or is it like again, are you like almost totally isolated in your studies? Because I think that would make perfect sense about why you're starting in different areas and not the very first ground level, which for us you should be there, right? Because we just haven't traveled the path that you have.
I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly, so steer me if not, but you're correct. But it's too extensive. Like you said, for like something immersed in like 7, 10 years, something like that. Like where do you start at the basics? I'm gonna start talking about a circle and explaining the esoteric meaning of a circle to you, and then we're gonna go, you know what I mean? Like it'll take years just so I guess there is no end game, and that's the pointless, I don't know. That's a lonely world. If that's why the wizards are out by themselves. There is nobody to talk to because they're the only wizard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll talk to
No,
you guys about it because you guys will listen, but I don't know. Then I can't talk about it because it's just I don't,
you
maybe
definitely
that's why
can't.
Hermes says his lips were sealed to those except for those that understood, or I don't know, I butchered it, whatever the hell he said. The lips are sealed to those I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
there was that book that 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene's writing about it. And I can't remember the exact name, but there's a chapter where like extreme isolation. Like sometimes you got to isolate to absorb all this invaluable information. And that's the only way you can learn is like being locked away. And he always gave the reversal at the end of the chapter. In that chapter, he's like, be careful when you isolate too wrong, because the social skills will erode and it breeds awkwardness. And that's the thing, like you forget how to crack the jokes first before you dive
Yeah,
into the deep
but
shit.
that's not that would be an incorrect, like if you're a doctor and if like maybe this isn't what you're doing, so correct me, but if that was an analysis or like you're going there's your symptoms and you're giving me my that was my disease or whatever, that wouldn't be accurate because I deal with people every single day constantly.
But there is
6 to 7 days a
but
week
you're
for 20
playing a
years.
role. You're playing a role.
Not really.
Well,
Like
yeah,
what
you are.
type of role?
You're the
What
professional, and
role?
they're coming to you for a you know, what you sell.
But
Coming to you for product.
define professional. Like, how do you imagine my day to day
If I'm getting
professional
something
role?
put on my body, I'm gonna be as nice and polite to that person as possible.
So I could pretty much act or do whatever I want, and you're just going to put up with it because you hope I do you right, and you don't want to upset me.
There's I'm just saying there's boundaries, right? There's boundaries to that
Well,
relationship.
I don't know. Why do you think I'm going to write a book when I get older about tattooing? Maybe there's not these boundaries. Maybe you don't know. Maybe it's like the Wild West, and I've been in the Wild West for 20 years.
Maybe you're right.
And it's Murphy. Do you know what Murphy's Law is? Well, you multiply it by 1,000 and you make him upset and turn him into a bear on fire. And that's what tattooing is. There's nothing professional about it. Like, what does that even mean? I know. That's why I'm going to write a book.
All right. Do you think there's a benefit to having conversations with where you're not playing a role? Or you're not
What
in
do
a
you
role?
mean?
You're a role. You're a tattooer. You're putting a tattoo on someone's body.
Yeah, but what about the conversations with in and out of that role? Like just people coming in and out, my coworkers.
Let me tell you something. I talk to people all day in a therapy role. We talk about all types of shit, serious and light. I'm tired and fucking, I don't ever want to do it again at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And when I talk to y'all, I don't feel that way because there's no expectations, I guess, or anything like that.
yeah, that's true. It's a good thing. Is that what you're asking? Do I think it's a good thing?
Do you need like, yeah, because we're like, do you need the social element outside of work? Is it rejuvenating or anything?
Yeah, but you can get that from, a relationship too, I think, maybe.
Maybe.
Or are we defining a division between that too?
No, nah, maybe you could be right on that. Some people get drained from their relationships, others get recharged. It's variable.
Well, no, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. I'm saying mine's recharging in my case, I guess.
Okay, cool. We're meeting somewhere in the middle. Yeah, good.
Eric,
Uh,
you're walking through the desert, and a golden orb descends in front of you,
yes,
and
go on.
it doesn't say anything, but you understand you understand that it is the creator of all things,
Uh-huh.
and it communicates telepathically and says, "You can ask one question." What is that question?
Okay, before I answer, can I ask why am I in the desert?
You're on a
It's
spirit
like
quest.
Jesus wandering in the wilderness, man. You're on a quest, a spiritual
Like
journey.
like literally, we're literally speaking. I'm in the desert, like it's hot.
It's nighttime and it's a comfortable temperature.
Okay. So I'm not too upset.
State of mind is contingent on what the question is that he asked. So yeah, you're kind of neutral right now. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. What does it ask me? Oh, I'm allowed to ask it. I'm just allowed to ask it a question, or I'm
Yeah.
allowed it can serve me, or like what are
No,
the
it's just a question. You have to ask it a
and
question.
all I'm gonna do is get an answer.
Yes.
And I understand this from it beforehand.
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
It
I
could be
don't
a how do
know.
I? It could be a practical question. How do I attain something? I just want to. What's your deepest desire, Eric? What's the foundation of who you are? What's your fundamental project? That if you take everything away, what's left? Who are you at your
Can't wait for the
foundation?
answer. Can't wait.
To have come to I don't know to have I'm gonna ask what Solomon asked. I want complete wisdom and understanding.
Is that what
That's
Solomon asked? That's a pretty good answer.
He got it.
How did that end
that's
up for him? What
the
happened to Solomon in the end?
Solomon
It,
was the
it didn't
wisest
end well.
man. He ended up being way too much into women. He died with a bunch of false idols. He was the richest man on earth, and then he gave it all away for he basically declined.
He built a temple using the power of demons.
Did you have you seen the measurements of his temple?
I don't think
They're
I have.
interesting.
We talking
You
about
know,
qubits here?
I won't get into the numbers, but they're interesting. They cycles come up like, planetary cycle numbers to where they match up to being
What?
really accurate, and it's really hard to discount the coincidence.
How did Solomon die again? Did somebody just told me which one of y'all was it?
I don't know if there was an account of his death.
Yeah, I think I was just saying he died. He was the wisest man, but then he also had suffering. He wasn't perfect. It was a great story. Hiram Abiff built his temple a
Uh,
Freemason, and that's
Hey,
what gets into where I talk about numerology. All their stuff is written with numbers.
Eric,
Numbers.
Eric. So the
Yes.
smartest guy ever. I don't know. One of the smartest guys I ever read that was so difficult for me to keep up with was that I don't know if I'll say his name, but that like Gurdjieff guy. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I have his books. Read them. They're
He was
good.
very much into planetary alignment
Who's
and
Gurjeet? Who is this guy? I don't know
Well,
him.
what do you gotta like? What do you mean by this?
he
Such a
I always
statement.
thought it was just a horoscope until when you run across an intellect that high that's bringing it up in books, it makes you think that there's probably something to it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So there's a deeper symbolism in the most ancient science on earth. Astrology was the first science. It was in Mesopotamia, Samaria. It's just a study of the stars. It's where time came from. What is time? A time is based upon a revolution of Earth on its axis. Therefore, we get seconds, which basically go up into the day. You get 60 seconds per minute times 60 seconds, 24 hours a day. So an hour is 15 degrees of Earth rotation. My point is, you observe the stars and you see these rotations, how the sun works against the horizon, and how it comes up and down, and you get these really important numbers, and they start to come up in more things than you can see, and you see the symbolism of how they work and the changing of ages and what the prophets were doing with those numbers, and I don't know, you can see how everything works. It's God's law.
Well, I
There's
will say,
natural laws. If you plant corn, you're going to get corn. But if you plant corn at the wrong time, you're not going to get corn. If you plant corn at the right time, at a really good time, you're going to get a lot of corn. Those are just divine natural laws because of the
last
way
time,
the spheres move around.
a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the I Ching, which here in China is their number book from before the Bible, and people to this
I've
day,
heard of that speak.
yeah, they
Mhm.
still consult it. Like it's insane how like you read Confucius, you read Lao Tzu.
How, uh-huh.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say, I'm agreeing with you. So, how do you define reality? We use numbers. That's what math is. But we can't even define reality very accurate because if we have a square, to define that as a circle, we have to use pi. One side of a square, let's say we have a square with four sides that are equal to one. Four of them all together is equal to four. So it's a four square, right? You get the total, that's the area. You have four sides, all of them are equal to one. One times pi, 3.14, would give you the area of a circle that goes around that square. The square basically cannot define the circle because pi is irrational. You get what I'm saying? Numbers can't define reality because they're irrational. We can't even define reality perfectly with numbers, but numbers are all we got. I don't know
Well,
where I'm going with that, but it's
so
interesting.
Eric, here's the thing that I want to clarify because I'll be honest, I really don't understand because when you
Uh,
say numbers are irrational,
I
what
need
what
I
I
need a little screen where I can draw stuff for you guys, and I could help.
you
Oh
know what you
man, it'd be
need?
so
If
good.
you get a
It'd be so
fucking
good.
camera, you can do that, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I will next
but
time. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
what I was going to say is so what I'm trying to figure out. It's interesting you say numbers are irrational because it sounds like we're in
No,
a
our reality is we can't define our reality
So,
with
so,
numbers because it's irrational.
so this is
okay.
hard for me to follow too because it's like you're acting like there's patterns, so there is no chaos. Everything has an order to it, and now you're saying it's irrational.
But what if chaos is? What if there's when you okay, Here, I can do this. There's Ezekiel said there's wheels within wheels. What he meant, well, there's lots of things he meant, but what I mean to show you is if we look at Chase's life on a day to day, you wake up, every single day is the same. Well, every week's the same, right? You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you go back around to Monday. If we look at Chase on an individual weekly level, some of those weeks you could define as good. Maybe you mark the day as a plus, maybe you mark the day as a minus. You do that every single week, you add them up. Maybe the whole week was a plus, or maybe you had more minuses, maybe you had equal and it was just a neutral. My point is that just looks like chaos if you just say that zoomed in. But when you zoomed out and you get to a year, maybe Chase has a good year, maybe he has a bad year. Well, when we have certain numbers that line up, when you look at it, let's say like for 7 weeks, there's this thing where you're like, dude, I have a really good time. And then every 7 weeks, more often than not, something happens. Okay, well, then we zoom out and we look at that as years. And you're like, wow, every 7 years, something kind of happens too. I'm not saying that happens for everybody with those numbers, but are you getting the picture on are you
You're,
following me?
you're saying there's order to the chaos? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there's order to the chaos when you zoom out enough, if you're aware of it. And when I don't know, the guy that I study made $50 million. He was the first man to buy an all aluminum aircraft when planes came around in the first 1900s. He said he discovered cycles in the Bible, and that's how he forecast the 1929 depression. And it's true as far as I can tell. He was using cycles from the Bible in my studies. And
So
if they're using cycles that repeat, I believe there's nothing new. We all act like things are new. Nothing's new. We're just going through the same transmutations. If you zoom out far enough, everything's the same.
my question is like, to what extent can you manipulate these cycles? Because in a
What
way,
do
it
you mean
almost
by
sounds like,
go
well,
on?
it
I'm sorry.
sounds like, so if we go out far enough and we can see that there's cycles, that there are these patterns, right? It
Uh-huh.
seems like that's so beyond us as individuals. You know what I mean? That I really don't have free will that I can execute because
But
it's
you
just
do.
beyond me, you know?
But you
So you do
do.
think,
Yeah, you have free will because you reap what you sow. So in a way, you're creating your own fate by making your own decisions now. In the present, all you have is the present. We can't prove the past or the future, but we can look to the past and forecast the future. I can look at your past and be like, look at all that shit, or you guys can do that to me. You can look at all that shit he did, and maybe you can forecast the future, but maybe you can't. But my point of saying is that's all you have. So whatever you're reaping right or whatever you're sowing right now is what you will reap within the future. And that's bound by law. Everything's moving in
well,
a circle. Everything's
well,
vibrating.
so let's take the example you used with Chase with the pluses and minuses, and
Yeah.
let's say we're in a cycle where it's all minuses, like just shit's going bad, the luck is not there, you know. In a situation like that, my mind, my puny Conrad mind, would immediately say, "I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do. Fate is against me." You know what I mean?
And you would get
Um,
more of that and it would become true.
well,
You would be Job. What the fear has come
uh,
upon you.
okay. So in your mind, what is the correct reaction when the shit hits the fan? What is the correct reaction?
You asked for it somehow, some way, at, through some action, through some mental. People get prayer wrong too. Prayer is every single thought. He counts every hair on your head. Every single thought you have is orbiting, and it's going to attract more of what you get. But if you don't do the work, you're only going to have those thoughts. But if you have those thoughts enough, you're probably going to do the work to get more of that. So it's a slippery slope. But you're accountable for every single action at some sort of way. It's just by law. That's God's law. It's how it works.
So I see what
Or
you
you
mean by
can say
order and
nature,
chaos.
natural. Yeah, nature has certain immutable laws. The seven hermetic principles. Those define them very well. I don't know if you've ever read the seven hermetic principles.
No
The
idea.
first. Oh, okay. Well, it defines basically stuff like that really well. But anyway,
No, that's interesting though, because I wouldn't. I would think you would be on one side or the other. Like it's all out of my hands, or no, it's totally in my hands. But you're in this interesting in between place where you're using the fact that these cycles come and go to your
yeah,
advantage, or
it's
you're
nature. You
reacting.
observe it. Everything in nature is observable, and you see it. You reap what just you sow. A fruit of a tree. You're not gonna get. You're not gonna. I don't know, from a bad tree, you're going to get bad fruit. That's automatic. So if you don't, hmm,
That was the
Are you a
interesting
I,
thing. That was the interesting about that Gurdjieff that really kind of shook me was like, it was both. He's like, whatever you put your energy into, believe that existence
yeah,
ends with you. It ends with you. And it
yeah,
is as simple as that. And I was like, God damn it, it's fucking both. It's not. It transcends duality. It's both at the same time.
yeah. And it's so much you actually can't truly understand it, but it's simple and it just is. I am. I am. You can say it with I am. That's what Moses said. I am.
Yeah, Eric, you keep making these biblical allusions. Are you a Christian?
Not if I say that, you guys are going to get the wrong idea. But I believe that
Oh,
the
touch.
Bible. But well, I believe in the Bible full heartedly, but on levels more complex that'll make me insane and I don't know, very very out there ways. I think Gurdjieff was teaching the same principles. I think if you go back to I think if you go back to what it's an 88-page book, the Tao. I believe those are the same
Mhm.
principles are found within there. But if you get into arguing about how the Tao, or maybe Tao would be wrong, but if you get into how Buddha deals with Buddha with suffering and attachment is the form and root of all suffering. So they would kind of like not form attachment. That's one way to look at it, right? And that might be an overall simplified statement, but what I'm trying to get beyond that and just say the Christian standpoint is you're asking for suffering so you can gain wisdom and provide service and the betterment of mankind. So those are two cardinally different things, but they're still talking about the same thing. They're just dealing with it in a different way. And you can do that with
Asking.
all of the major. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, no, it does. But
once again, those are oversimplified. Those are very oversimplified, but I think I
yeah,
made a point.
you did. And I have to say, that book, The Tao Te Ching, that right there, what you described before about sort of being in this place of reacting to whatever the cycles throw at you, that sounds like Taoism 101 to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Chinese are
There
huge on that exact idea.
you have four elements. You have 12 divisions, the 12 tribes, the 12 whatever you want to call it. You have that's 30 degrees of the 360-degree circle. It rotates. There's major cycles and there's smaller cycles within there. And as those elements and those huge, you got the sun and moon, right? Those are huge electromagnets, and you got these huge planets that have these huge radioactive planetary rays that are cutting through the Earth. When they get into certain alignments, it's just revolving around the Earth, and those transmute and basically cause the nature upon Earth to change. You get these different, you get the ages. We define them as ages, but you can zoom in and you get centuries where we get the revolutions, and we're right on the verge of an 84-year revolution. Every 84 years, there is some sort of something with every country you measure.
Well, what do you mean?
Really, the
When's
United
it coming,
States.
Eric? What's next, man?
Okay, so let's go back in time, 1776. Do we know what happened? Please tell me we know what happened in 1776.
America was formed, baby.
That's correct. That was a revolution. We parted from our oppressor, right? All right, so if we go for 84 years from there, we're right at the beginning of the Civil War. What did we do? We parted from well, it was one of the South was oppressing the uh it was another form of oppression, right? That's my point. And there's a divide between it, and we had a war again. So you go for 84 years and you get the Second World War. And that was a different type. It was changed, but it's still a war. It's still killing. It's massive, massive. I don't know. I would call the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, and World War II all the same if you look at them as just war, right? You go from 84 years from there, and what do you
Oh my
get? You get
God.
What year
2000,
is
2028.
Oh,
28?
damn.
Is it
2028.
28?
Yeah.
Is it that far
Yeah.
ahead? I thought it
No,
was
it's
now.
right. It's
Dang it.
coming. But here, I wish I could show my screen. I'd show you the cause of it. There's an 84-year cycle, and when it gets
You
to a
had a
certain degree
camera.
of the zodiac, it happens.
So what
It's
happens in
just what
2028? What do the numbers say?
well, I'd say probably be at war, and I'd probably say it's
Wait,
going to be a revolutionary or some sort of revolutionary civil and
Are
world
you
war.
think it's an internal or
hold
is
on,
it a
hold on.
world war?
Yeah,
Hold on, hold on.
I think I think
Let me let me confirm, Eric, when you're talking World War II, are you saying like Pearl Harbor 41, or are you saying like
Yeah.
45 dropping the atomic bomb?
40, well, it's the beginning of it. But I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'd have to here, hold on, I can pull up a calculator. But yeah, I'm saying from the beginning is what I was 1776. It's not exact because 84 years is a static count. The orbit is elliptical, so it speeds up and slows down. So it's around, just think on average, an 84-year cycle is going to have a few years either side orb. So we're already within that. Or 1860 was right after that. I think 1861 was when the Civil War started, so it was off by a year. Let's add 84 years again to 1860 and you get 1944. Okay, so it's more towards the end of the war. But once again,
Okay.
my point is like there's a little bit of orb, but every 84 years there's a certain cycle that comes around. That you're
Okay.
not going to pinpoint it to the day with such a large thing, but if you zoomed in, you know how we have like a year, then we have months, then we have weeks, then we have days. You can pinpoint it with smaller cycles, given maybe that's your understanding. I'm not trying to claim I can do that or anything. I'm just giving
When
an
when it
idea of the principle.
when it comes to the units of time that you use, are you using the traditional like Western 12-month calendar? Are you using a lunar calendar? Like how are you?
Longitude. It's longitude. Anything is time that moves around in a cylindrical inch. There's so many cycles that would blow your mind. So not
Eric,
okay. So
Eric,
we have
Eric,
lunar cycles, right? Huh?
let's not get lost in this because I'm very
Okay.
curious because you've seen this coming for a while. And I think I remember this. I remember I was like, Eric said 2027, 2028. I couldn't remember, but now it's coming back. You said 2028 last time I talked to you. So you've known this is on
I
the
said
horizon.
this a long time.
Oh, yes, but the last time I talked to you, which was years ago, you were telling me this.
Yeah, 2016 probably.
How do you, what is your, I know it's a prediction. I know it could go a lot of ways, but what's your best hypothesis on what might happen?
I mean, like, what do you
Is
mean?
it going to be at a domestic war? Is it going to be China and Russia throwing? Is it nukes dropped, or how do you see this playing out? Or you
I,
really can't tell?
I mean, I don't know the schematics of that because that's not where I've exhausted. I just keep up with the major harmonics of such, not really schematics. But what I would say is it's definitely like revolutionary or civil, whatever. I don't know if that means like the country divides or if it stays together, there's still some sort of, I mean, we're divided right now. You can see it. However that plays out, I don't know. Maybe it's peaceful, but if that's peaceful, there's got to be bloodshed. There's got to be a major conflict. There'd be a world war, but there's blood conflict some way, somehow. America's involved. It's major. I would say all of that. There's no way it's not. It's happened 100% of the time. So until it doesn't, I'm going to say there's no way it doesn't.
Well, I will say that there is a
That's
historical
not just with
phenomenon.
America. Uh
There's
huh.
a historical phenomenon that everybody knows about in the history community, which is within every century, within every 100 years, there is some kind of major world war slash conflict. You know, whether it's Napoleonic Wars or one of the traditional world wars in the 20th century, every 100 years, within, that's very rough estimate. There's always some gigantic global shifting conflict that happens,
Yeah.
so I
And
could see that refined down more precisely, Eric, for sure.
yeah, there's cycles in it. You can, well, I don't know. Yeah, I concur.
Mm, so, well, I feel like we reached a degree of depth that I was not expecting, from cycles to destroying frogs and everything. That got quite interesting. Yeah, more interesting than I thought possible. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. Austin, Chase, any final questions for Mr. Javor?
Yeah, Austin, I always feel like we're kind of over talking. If you ever need to say anything, just raise your hand next time, buddy.
If I had something to say, I would have raised my hand. I feel like this is a Eric's moment. I don't want to jump in to Eric talking about what he wants to talk about. But Eric, man, you're one of my favorite people. I've talked about you before. Many fond memories, dude. And I'm glad we had a chance to talk to you. I hope we can talk again pretty soon as well.
Sounds good to me. You can always interrupt me though. I don't care. I'm just talking about whatever you guys fucking make me think about, and then I talk about
Eric,
Yeah, yeah.
it.
here's my last question thing to you. Did you think it's good to have a place in Hawaii where I can grow a whole bunch of fucking fruit by 2028? You think I'll be able to survive if everybody else gets killed off?
I don't know. Hawaii sounds kind of terrible. It's beautiful, but it comes at, risk to reward. It's so beautiful. You have a chance of burning up, dying, and possibly being bombed, considering Pearl Harbor was the last time of this cycle. I'm not saying that would happen, but hey, we're talking about repeat things and the probabilities of a bombing of a place. It'd be right there, wouldn't it?
I'm on a different island, but so you're saying I should sell it and move. That's what you're saying.
Is that where you're at right now? Are you in Hawaii? Is that a beautiful little place in Hawaii that I see?
I'm on Big Island, man, which is not Honolulu.
Really?
I'm on the Big Island, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe before 2028 of Japanese and all this stuff, you're like, wow, Eric's so pretty right. Like, I don't even understand, but he's pretty right. Like, maybe get out of there.
Okay.
It's pretty horrible, dude. I don't know. Go back and watch Pearl Harbor. Like, go read about it. It's pretty bad.
That's a different
You
island,
don't
though,
want to be
dude.
part of it.
I'm on a different
Yeah,
island.
but who? Yeah, but okay. So there's this one guy. I'm sorry. I know you guys said this was over, but like, can we keep going?
Keep going.
There's this one guy named George Lindsay, and he wrote these books, and one of them wasn't published, but I have it, and it was really good. But the more different he explains, there's these cycles, and he goes throughout. I mean, dude, the amount of research he did is ridiculous. But there's these certain time periods where then, like, let's say there's a revolt. Let's say there's like these there's these people and they're being oppressed and they have a revolt. And let's say it wasn't successful. There's going to be certain time intervals like 36 to 40 years. Then there's going to be a 69 to 70 years. And I mean, those aren't the only numbers, but I'm just giving you an idea of what he does. And there'll be a time where they come and they'll actually carry out their goal of whatever their initial thing was. Now, my point of saying all that was the more different the outcomes are, the better it is. So the time frames always hit the same, but you can never judge what's going to happen, even though when you zoom out, you're going to see that, oh yeah, they're going to get their means, but it's always different situations. So what I'm saying is maybe it's not bombs, maybe it's like some sort of other horrible fucking thing, and it's totally different, and that puts it right on the island that you're at, and it's way different, but it's still like death by fire, or something horrible.
Well,
Maybe it's drones instead of like I don't know, P-51s. I think that's what we were using, but whatever the Japanese fighter pilots were using, the suicide bombers, maybe it's suicide drones. You got to get out of there, Chase. You got to go.
Where am I going to go? To Huntsville, Alabama, where there's fucking bunch of missiles? This is going to be one of the first places you can drop a nuke.
Yeah, I know. Well, I got to get out of here too. I'm not claiming my place is better.
Where do I go to? Where am I supposed to go? You're supposed to tell me where to go. New Zealand? Is that where I'm supposed to go? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Eric,
We're just going to have to talk again and get deeper with these things.
I've spoken to Chase. I think maybe Dean was there as well. We need to all move in together and build a compound of some kind. We don't have to live in the same
Well, look,
house, but just adjacent to each other.
Well, you're correct, but that costs lots of money. And guys, I'm on the mission, but you guys need to we're gonna have to like really, really get up a lot of money. It costs a lot. You know how much houses cost now? Everything costs a lot. We gotta get rich.
Build their own
And then we
houses,
can build
yeah.
a compound.
I mean, you're going
You
to be
see
a
my point?
millionaire in
You
a couple
remember-
months. So, I mean, right? This isn't a problem, right? This
It's
is
gonna
all...
be well, I don't know. Can I trust you? You've been gone for 30 years. I like you a lot, but yeah.
There is that question.
You might try to stick your thumb up my butthole.
Eric, when you make that $1 million, this is what you do. You go to Vegas and you put everything on black.
No,
19.
that would be silly. Everything I'm doing is like to be consistent. Like if you can be consistent at Vegas, sure, but you can't. That's gambling.
Well, I will say this. I've never seen anybody talk to Chase like Eric has talked to Chase. And Chase, you need more of this in your life, man.
Yeah,
Is
he
Chase a
deserves it.
bully? Does nobody talk to Chase like he needs to get talked to?
You would not
He-
believe Eric, when my partner
Does he
met
just
Chase,
use his intelligence over everybody?
oh my God. When my partner met Chase, the first thing he
Look
said
at him,
was,
he does.
he was like, this American, he walks around like he is so cool. He wants everyone to think he is so cool. And
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
Eric, he
That's
needs
right.
a dose of you at least like once a month just to keep him humble. You know,
I mean,
that- this
sounds good to me.
He admitted
Maybe
it.
not even for that reason, but sure.
I invited him. I said, dude, you want to go to Asia with me? And then he, you know what he sent me back? He sent me back some message was like, I have to work. I am the roots of the tree, and the tree will not grow without me. And I was like, what
It was
kind of
good.
fucking message is this? Just say no. What the fuck is wrong with you, fucking weirdo? I'm glad you're not going, lunatic. Hey, let me just say this. I asked Chris Elrod to come with me too. I was like, dude, you want to go to Asia? And he gave me the worst answer of all. He said, I appreciate the offer. And after careful consideration, I have to go skiing with my partner. But thank you for considering me. It was something like that. I was like, who is this?
Yeah, mine was way better.
Yeah,
You
yours
you
was
just didn't comprehend mine. That was the only issue with that.
yeah, I didn't have time to comprehend that.
I gave you beautiful words in there, deep and complex, and you had gained a profound understanding and gained some insight.
How did I respond to you? What did I say?
That was a different day. You're thinking about your I don't know, the art of war response when I gave you an excuse. You said friends don't need them or something. Is that what you're
No,
talking
no,
about?
no. I think I just said
Oh.
gay. I think I responded with the email.
Oh yeah, you did. You're correct. I
I said
blocked it
gay.
out. You're correct.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was it.
On
I
that note,
chuckled too. I like just like that. I laughed. Okay.
on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's end this bitch. Everybody, thank you for listening to the Divine Brothers, and thank you, Mr. Trevor, for coming and hanging out with us. We'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.